What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out a title called Archmage Rises. This is one of the games on Steam that I'm most interested in because it's an open world life sim about a mage. So in this game, you are a mage that has just graduated from mage college called the Conclave. It's very similar, like you got to go to mage college and you got to be like a licensed mage in this game. If you've ever seen something like Dragonlance, it's kind of similar to that. And there's not a lot of games like this. This game kind of transcends RPG, or at least it seems it's attempting to transcend that into more like, I guess, life sim territory. Archmage Rises is a really curious game that sort of reminds me of a lot of passion projects like Dwarf Fortress or like Transcendence or Star Sector or any of those sorts of games where it feels like the passion project of somebody that's going to be working on this for a very, very long time. And it's not a conventional game at all. Like, I don't think this is one of those games that I would recommend to just about anybody, but this is a game where you are a mage that has just graduated from college. Now, most RPGs at this point would serve you up with some kind of like large narrative, like, oh, the world is changing, and only one young mage can stop, you know, whatever bad thing is about to happen. This is not that game. Like, I don't want to alarm you. This game has much more in common with something like The Sims, actually, than it does with kind of like a large, sprawling RPG. You are free and within your means in this game when you graduate from Mage College to never do anything with your life. Like, you can do your character creation, and then you can spend the rest of the game washing dishes at the local tavern if you want to, and then you can get married, and you can, like, maybe have a family or something, and then never use any of your mage skills for any reason if you don't really want to. Alternatively, you can spend your time in this game just mining and looking for cool resources. You can go out and be like an apothecary or an alchemist gathering herbs. You can quest, you can protect villages, you can get involved in factional intrigue, you can build a mage tower, you can do whatever you want, and it seems like it's going to expand in kind of like that free direction. This is one of those games that I'm not sure will ever quite be done. And my indications of that come from, let's ponder for a moment what happens when you open a chest in this game inside of a dungeon. If you open a chest and it's trapped in this game, there's a couple different things that are going to happen. Well, there's about 50 different ways you can set off that trap. So, for example, you can use a long pole, and you can poke the chest, and then you won't have to do anything. It just sets off the trap. Maybe the trap damages the contents, but it doesn't damage you because you're 10 feet away. You can use a disarm trap spell. You can be aware of the trap and trigger it with your hand, knowing which way you need to dodge for a bonus to your dodge roll to get out of the way of it. You can use a trap kit on it, which is a thing that you keep inside your inventory that gives you a plus 25 to the roll. Like, there's a million different options in this game just for dealing with a trap on a chest. And I get the feeling that that's kind of like the mindset they're trying to spread to the rest of the game. And so I wanted to feature it. We covered this game, I guess, about 8 or 9 months ago when it was just a demo, actually. Now the game's been out for almost a year. And in that time, it's had 2 major content updates. The most recent one adding the ability for your mage to build mage towers all over the kingdom so that you can teleport in between them, and you can use them as studies for the books and the tomes and the things that you find, and you can have enchanting workshops and stuff like that. You've got your own base of operations all over the map. Like, I've already got one wizard tower built right now, and I can build a wizard tower in every major population center if I want to. There's nothing stopping me from doing so, and that's the most recent update, is allowing the player to sort of get involved in, I suppose, arcane real estate, which I think is a really cool and interesting idea. I've been enjoying the way that it makes you actually feel like you've made a home on the map. But do whatever you want in this game. That's really what Archmage Rises is going for. So the game's in early access, obviously. If you wanted to get the game for yourself, I do have a link for you down below in the description. You can check that out and get the game for yourself. The developer actually So the developer just reduced the price to $10, which I think is really fair for this game, given the sheer volume of procedural sandbox content here. Like, this entire game is procedural. So it generates a game world, it generates a procedural history for that game world. Every single village and town will have like a history of when they were taken over by Ettins or when Griffins attacked or something like that, and then heroes will solve those problems, and those heroes will get old, and then they'll die and pass away, and like a new generation will begin. Everything here is procedural, and honestly, this is a really easy game to just start fiddling with and get lost inside of. That's what happened to me. I started playing it last night at like midnight, and I got up this morning at like 7:45 when my wife got up for work just to play it a little bit more before I recorded the video, because I was having a good time with it. The videos you have a good time with are always the easiest ones to make. Those games that you don't like, but you still got to make a video on them, man, those are the worst. Let's go ahead and we'll cut over to the left over here. Yeah, all the quests in this game, everything. I mean, it seems like there's main storyline quests too that always get pitched to the player here and there, but you don't have to do anything with the main storyline quest if you don't want to. You can like choose not to interact with it and just go make your own kind of story. Sing your own special song, even if nobody else wants to sing along, so on and so forth. And I've been having a good time with it, but it's not a game I would recommend to everybody just due to the ridiculous sandboxy nature, and also this game is very raw. Like, this is one of those games that you can tell is kind of like it's getting patches, it's getting new content, but this is a game that's gonna sprawl one day, and it's still kind of like picking up speed and sort of getting itself established right now. So you're going to run into little rough edges and things here and there when it comes to the proceduralism, but hasn't bothered me too much. Now, inside this room, we found ourselves in a combat. The combat in this game isn't super well explained. Like, it'll make sense to you. You'll figure it out. But basically, your character has two different things in combat. You've got aura and you've got AP. Aura is like the amount of magical energy you've been able to condense like around your hands to cast spells, and then AP is the actual time you need in order to do incantations and cast at the enemy. We've got a ghost creeper over here, and we've got a goblin scavenger. So like I could take a magic missile right now and I could blast that dude, and now he's dead. I've been focusing on the Arcane school, as you can tell, because I have more of them. But you also get lots of utility spells. That's one thing I like about this game, is it seems to be very inspired by something like D&D or something like Pathfinder or something like Shadowrun. Your character has a full skill list right here, and the game uses a D20 system where it evokes all these skills for just about everything you do. You have different spell schools, you can research them, you can get better at them. The game also has survival mechanics, like you've got to eat food and you've got to take care of yourself, otherwise you'll get sick. Like you've got to eat well. If you eat unhealthy food and whatnot all the time, you'll feel bad and your character will get sick and feel terrible. Let's go ahead and I'm going to AoE him because he's in invisibility mode right now. And when they're in invisibility, this guy just dodged lightning. What a speedy bastard. He's quick, and that's like literally dodging the speed of light right there. This man's like an absolute beast when it comes to the dodge rolls. Combat is turn-based. You've got a compass down here that tells you everything that you need to know. You've got your physical armor. Enemies that deal physical damage will erode that first. You can get physical armor from spells, or you can get it from just like plate mail, leather armor, that kind of stuff. This game doesn't penalize you for wearing armor as a mage, so you can definitely be like a battle mage, basically, and wade into combat, hitting guys in the face with a mace while also casting. We've also got magical armor, which does the exact same thing, just for magic attacks. You've got HP. Your character is just a normal human being in this game. Under no circumstances should you expect to be the hero of this story. You can die in 1 to 2 hits if your shields fail you, so keep that in mind. And then you've also got stamina, which is like how tired your character is. And actually, our character is pretty damn tired right now. I don't know if it'll let me sleep in the dungeon, but I'm going to sleep in the dungeon because I've got a camping kit. And so my stamina has been refilled. I wasn't really super interested in continuing to crawl through this dungeon with my stamina crazy low because you never know what you're going to have to do. But utility spells have value in this game. So for example, I just cast a light spell, and now I can see and crawl through the dungeon. One of the things about this game, though, is that there's not very many dungeon tile sets. There's only this tile set from what I've seen so far. It's basically, there's a wizard over here. All right, he's got to go like first. Yeah. This guy right here is going to use a spell called Stink Cloud on me. And Stink Cloud gives every single one of my spells like a 20% chance to backfire. And when your spells backfire, it bypasses your defenses and makes you take like 20% of your health and damage. It's really, really bad. So those little goblin wizards have to go first every single time. Like, they are definitely the target that you want to focus on. How dare I? I'll get you right here. I'll do it again. I'm a mad... He just threw a knife at me. Luckily, I'm wearing very thick armor. I have scale mail on right now, so I'm not too worried about daggers anymore at this part of my career. But however, enemies are definitely able to reach out and touch you and hurt you in this game. They have a grid. As you play the game, you'll learn what some enemies can do and like what ranges they can attack from. And that's where utility spells that allow you to push and pull them around the grid come from. So mages usually want to be in the back, and they will bypass their turns to try to get there. So pulling them forward is very useful if you're trying to negate their turn, like almost like a poor man's stun. Warriors, they want to be up close, so pushing them back can be a very effective way to force them to waste their turn. Runes were carved into the surface, but nothing. I've never seen that before. Huh. Apparently just like a little interactable object. We have the tile beneath your foot breaks. 2 arrows shoot out of the wall. You have a split second to react. Your perception allows you to use 12 action points before the impact. This is another thing, is like your spells that you use in combat, they are also options in events here. So like if your character has the ability to emit a gust of wind from their hands, you can use that to deflect a dart that comes at you from a trap or whatever. But if you specialize in fire, you could put up like a fire shield and it would burn up right before it hits you. Cool things like that that you can do that allow you to interact with the universe in a meaningful way, other than all your spells just being for combat and combat only. We'll go a force push right there. You hurl a blast of air at the projectiles. They stop and drop harmlessly to the ground. And then we access the chest for 65 buck-a-roonies. Never turn down cold, hard cash, chat. You can hold down Alt. It'll show you all of the things that are interactable inside of a dungeon. So we found a moron key, and we found a new book. That's good, because as a wizard, books are... See, like, barbarians, they just eat the books. They have no appreciation. Ooh, there's a trap right there, huh? I'll trigger it and try to dodge it. It looks like... Oh... A gust of icy wind is jutting out of the floor. Oh, I don't have air pocket. I guess just dodge? I don't know what my dodge score is. Apparently 5 athletics and we get a +2 for some reason. I don't know why the +2 came from, but with the +7, we dodged the dart. And so we found investigations in lakes. So, like, are you talking about we're investigating lakes, or are we going into lakes in order to investigate other things while floating in the water? That's a title that's a little bit androgynous in that regard. We've got... Is androgynous the right word? I don't know if that's even the right word. I don't know. Let's kill off that little rogue right there. This guy's got to walk forward on his turn before he can reach out and touch. Ambiguous. Maybe that's the word that I was looking for. We'll go ahead and take this right here. Just keep blasting this guy with magic missiles, the wizard's bread and butter. You can destroy these things right here, but these little doodads don't match up with what they are if you watch the combat description. If I blow up one of these, it'll say it's like a table or a chair, but it like always looks like a barrel. They're going to want to get that fixed and get that to match up with what it's supposed to look like. But as I was saying, it seems like there's only like one dungeon tile set right now. It's like always kind of like this Victorian dungeon that you wander through. I've done 6 or 7 now, and every single one of them has had the same tile set. They're probably going to want to like vary that up as well. Oh, good. We did it again. Hurrah. We dodged another trap that was on the door. And then we can use the maroon key to open it on up. And then inside the final room, it appears as though we're going to square off with goblin bosses. Ooh, this is actually kind of a rough fight. All right, I'll put up a physical shield on myself. And I'm going to blast you first, I guess. He's going to go invisible on his turn, which is kind of a bummer. But... yeah, he hits really hard, and so does he. Both of these guys hit for like 25 a turn. So we're going to have to kill somebody here before we start soaking just ungodly amounts of damage. I love these little sprites that they used for the combat. They look so good, like the little split lips on the spider that introduce like a little bit of like a body horror angle to it. Absolutely love that. Looks great. I'm going to hope that my shield holds on this turn and that I can... Oh, I didn't kill the spider. I was hoping I would get good damage rolls and we would take him down, but he's going to get to thump us on this turn. And boy, does he thump hard. Yeah, there goes my magic shield. As you can see, when you put a magic shield on yourself, it puts like a purple hue over the screen. And they just broke my shield, so... Alright, it's back to our turn. I do think that the game could run a little faster in combat. I found the combat to be a little bit clunky-wonky while I'm playing the game. Like, the transition in between turns is not smooth. It's almost like the game, like, lilts and, like, limps forward and, like, surges and then slows. Like, it's kind of hard to describe, but sometimes it just takes the game a real long time to swap turns in between these. So I think it could definitely be sped up and smoothed out a little bit. On top of that, having some indication of how much AP the enemy has and how many activities they're going to do on their turn might be kind of nice. Or just have like a little pip above their head that lets you know whether or not they've acted already. I think that would also be nice. You've got your round runner over here, which works perfectly fine for that same thing. But I'm a big fan of... Oh. Okay, I thought the tar... I was like, why does that rogue have so much HP? It was showing the guy in the back. My shield's still up, so I'm just going to bomb him out real quick and see what happens next. I don't really have any fire spells, so I can't really put any dots or anything else on him. It does look like I might be able to maybe do some kind of frostbite spell. Did it work? I think it worked. He's got a slow on him now, and it says the source of the slow is frostbite. Let's go ahead and blast this guy out real quick. I honestly wasn't expecting this dungeon to take this long. Keep blasting. There we go. This guy's taking some serious damage right here. But then again, our armor just got stabbed with a spear, so we're probably not feeling super great either. It'll come back after this fight, though. You don't need to go back to town and have your armor repaired or anything like that. Go ahead and blast this guy. You have to cast like a Reparo spell or anything on. Oh, I misclicked. Damn it. I didn't want to attack the chair. Luckily, he attacked and missed, so we're basically exactly where we were. But you see what I mean? There's like a long-ass gap in between when he takes his turn and when I'm allowed to attack and my interface brightens back up. They have to get rid of that. It just makes the combat feel so slow. Like, you got to speed that up. I don't know if you can add like a multiplier to the combat speed or the processing speed of the game needs. Is this a 3-layer dungeon? Dude, this is the biggest dungeon ever. This is wild. Am I hungry right now? Like, how are we doing? We could probably eat. We could probably get a little bit of food in us. Is there anything else that I can sort of utilize in here? I mean, I think that spear does better damage than my bow does. So I think I'm going to equip the spear. So there's a door in this dungeon that I have to bash my way into. Luckily, I have strength because I chose that during my character generation. But I think what we're going to do is, I think you've seen enough dungeon gameplay so far. I want to show you some overworld gameplay too. When I came in here so that I could open the video on action, I did not expect to have... I've never seen a 3-layer dungeon in like the 3 or 4 hours that I've been playing. I figured we'd knock it out real quick. They're always like 1 layer or 2 layers. This is the longest dungeon ever, so I'm just going to edit out the rest of it. Oh, never mind, that was the last room. Heh, problem solved. Our ultimate loot was a club, and then they always give you a teleporter to get out of the dungeon. This is the overworld map. You can do whatever you want on it. Every single person in town, in fact, I'll take you back to town right now. I've got a horse, and as you use skills in this game, you get better at stuff Bethesda style. And so I'm riding my palfrey right now. This is my wizard tower. I built it just recently. It's not much of a tower right now. It's more of like kind of like an Arcane neat lair at the moment, where it's just like a little 2-room hovel. But I do have a study where I can study my books, and I do have a bedroom where I can sleep, and I can call the doctor to help me out. And so, you know, it serves its utility, and it saves me money, and it saves me from having to go to the inn. Later on in the game, you'll get a teleporter room for it, and you can build a tower in every major city in the land, and you can just teleport in between locations, kind of Howl's Moving Castle style, so that you can be in different places like at the same time, which I think really invokes kind of like the more fun utilitarian aspects of being a wizard. But this is the game map. You can do whatever you want on it. If you take a look at my quest log right now, I've got a quest to kill a wolf. I've got a quest to collect some roses for an alchemist. I've got an like an interpersonal thing that's going on between like the weaponsmith of one town and some other weaponsmith's apprentice that I've got to like dig into. I'm looking for somebody that's investigating a missing mage. There are quests when you go into town, actually. I'll go into Malice right now so that you can see. But there's locations in every single town. Every single location will have a person that runs that location, and there's also visitors, and every single one of these people can have quests that interlink to other people procedurally and imply their relationships. You can have a relationship with all these people, so this is how much they like you right here. This is like what level of friendship you're at. This is how receptive they are to being friends with you, which gives you a multiplier when you just chat and make like small talk. So see, we just kind of leveled up to acquaintance right there just by like some small talk or whatever. I could compliment her further. That would warm up her mood so that I get more of a multiplier when doing small talk. You can only do so much at any given time. You can ask anybody for a job that you want. And so it looks like Edith and Broken Shields won't send a shipment because there's wolves on the road and all of her farriers are too afraid to hit the road. I'm not scared of wolves, sure. So there you go. I doubt there are wolves. So go kill 3 wolves and then show the pelts to Edith to show that you did something to clear the road, and then they'll send the shipment. So there you go. I've also got, I think I have something I need to turn in here real fast. William in Malice. So William the healer. Yeah, the wolf that I killed inside the dungeon counted. So we can come talk to this guy, and there you go. So is this about the wolf blood? Oh yeah, I was supposed to siphon off some wolf blood for a healing experiment. I forgot about that. I'll go take what she needs for the experiment and deliver it to the chapter house. These things have to be done just so. All right, well, I killed the wolf over here. Perfect, I'll go right now. You know, I actually studied to be a mage myself. Couldn't afford the tuition, though, so I had to drop out and turn my hand to something else. The Conclave gives me work from time to time. I think Sabina kind of feels sorry for me. All right, do I get paid? Or do I have to go back maybe to the Conclave? There we go. William's on his way. He already returned with the blood. I'm about to perform the charm if you want to watch. Stand back. Roar mul dam. Roar mal nen mabra. Look, the letters are changing. And what does it say? I was right. With these techniques, we're going to have unprecedented magical control. We can now choose with far greater precision how much of our aura a spell will consume. Therefore, how strong or weak it will be. I'm going to show you how it works, and the next time you're in combat, you should notice a difference. Here's a little gold for your time. Yeah, thanks for giving me the knowledge, I guess. Speaking of renegades, are you aware that William does magic? I know about his spell casting. He was a weak student to ever come, the weakest student to ever come through my class. Could barely summon a ball of light. I turn a blind eye to his hobby because he makes himself useful and because he couldn't be less of a threat to anybody. And you would do well to remember that. Did you want a reward for selling out your friend? I mean, if it's not too much trouble. Very honorable. Take your gold and get out of here. I'll just compliment her. It's okay. It'll fix the problem. I didn't know that I was friends with that guy. I thought that we were just like acquaintances. I didn't see it as throwing him under the bus. I've got to sell all the crap that I got out of that dungeon. Every single location will have services and also products that you can sell. Weirdly enough, the buy and sell interface is different depending on what you're in. So if you're in like the farmer's market in the center of town, you can haggle on all the things that you're buying and selling, which will level up your persuasion. But if you go directly to like a weaponsmith, you can't haggle when you sell your weapons. There's like these weird variances in between areas, like with what you can and can't do. But I need to clean out my inventory, and I'm very keen to make some money right now because we are poor. I don't know if that's going to sell. I think that's going to sell the spear that I currently have equipped. I'd also like a sort button. I think I brought this up the last time I played the game, but a sort button. Click it, and it pulls everything to the top and to the right, and then sorts it by type, or at least by name, or something like that would be very, very nice to have. This game is kind of like a browser game in the way that it feels. That's why, like, I said that I wouldn't recommend this for everyone. Like, this is a very specific sort of RPG adventure that very much reminds me of a lot of, like, the incredibly deep, ridiculously robust kind of browser games that existed circa like 2002 that you could play on the internet, stuff like Fallen London, I guess. It's kind of like that, but unhooked from the internet. You just play it here on Steam. The developer seems very receptive. It seems like he's always helping people out with their bugs and stuff on the forums. It seems like he interacts with his community. Seems like a nice guy. I'm going to sell these 2 hide tunics, too. They're worth 910 apiece. That's what's up. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go to the town center, and I want to buy the right to doing a town storage space. So I want to have the dining hall, the storage room, the gallery room. Maybe I can display my works of art. Oh, I can have a wine cellar. We simply must have a wine cellar if we're to be a mage of repute. We can have a game room so we can entertain ourselves. We can get stables. It says that it allows me to pet my mount, so you know I have to do that. Like, I have no choice. Let's go back to our tower and see if we can build here. But it's a very, very interesting game. It's definitely not for everybody, but the developer was selling the game at like 20 or 25 bucks when it first came out, and he said that he noticed that all of his negative reviews were people saying that the game's not worth 20 bucks. They'd pay like 10 bucks. And so he dropped the price to 10 bucks because he was like, apparently that's where the price needs to be if that's what everybody says they'll pay for it. That's very, very astute. There's a lot of developers out there that'd be like, no, 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 and they would just kind of stomp their foot and stay there, even though the overwhelming consensus is that their game is overpriced. This may be one of the first times I've ever seen a developer, like a couple months after release, be like, oh, you guys think the game's worth 10 bucks? All right, it's worth 10 bucks then. I'll put it up for 10 instead. And ever since then, his reviews have been a lot better. That right there, that's smart. I'm tapping my forehead right now to go along with what I'm saying. And let's go ahead and see what I can build here. So, like, I feel like the stable should be kind of like over there. I'm going to take these down, by the way. We'll take our tower up a little bit, too. There we go. So my tower's gone up ever so slightly. We're going to stop building, and, well, maybe we won't stop building. I suppose I'll put this, like, over here, and then we'll put the stable in, like, in this spot. There we go. We now have a stable that you've got to go into before you go to the main hall, and then you arrive at my study. What does the stable actually do for me? I can display a mount. Oh, and it just allows me to swap in between my mounts. There are different mounts in this game, by the way. The ones that I've seen so far is there's a giant wolf, there's a giant pig, and there's like 2 or 3 different types of horses, and they all have different stats, and they all give you different bonuses to rolls that you make while you're mounted on their backs. So some of them are better for like survival and scouting, some of them are better for dodging and fighting, that kind of stuff. I feel like this game is headed in a good direction. It may not be quite there yet, but man, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. We can go like with some upstairs storage. I wanted to delete that study right there and then have a different study right there. Like, it'll let me delete that room slot right there, but it won't let me delete this room slot right here. That kind of sucks. Oh, I can just swap what the room is. Nice! Yeah, have it be empty. I'd like my lower floor to kind of be, like, isolated from the rest of everything that we're doing. And then, like, our little inner sanctum will be up here where, our bedroom will be at. There we go. It'd also be cool. Like, it's a little bit like you buy the stuff in this game and then you get to build it for, like, free. It only costs a couple $100 anyways. I would actually prefer it since the game makes a big deal about the fact that, like, I can go out and I can find ore nodes. You can see them marked on the map here where I found them and scouted them out. I would have liked it better if when you're building your tower, instead of spending money, you paid money for the foundational room, but then you had to find, like, 5 wood, 4 metal, you know, a couple of, like, roses or whatever in order to put the room together. I feel like that would give an extra incentive for the player to cruise around and be like an outdoorsman. But yeah, Archmage Rises. I think the game's pretty cool. It's a little clunky right now. I think it could play a little bit smoother, especially in combat. It takes way too long to transition in between turns. It needs more dungeon tile sets. But the game is early on in its journey right now, and for 10 bucks, it's a unique product, and I tend to be attracted to unique novel products on Steam. I like it. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for being here. That's about all I got, and you guys can catch me all tomorrow with a new video. Bye, folks.